us. That's 1-877-639-7629. Here is Steve Malzberg.
And that's why it's so important for information and ideas to flow freely over the internet and through the media, because that's how we discover the truth. That's how we learn what's really happening in our communities and our country and our world. And that's how we decide which values and ideas we think are best, by questioning and debating them vigorously, by listening to all sides of an argument, and by judging for ourselves.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sorry for laughing. That's Michelle Obama. At the same time, it's so important. Open press, internet, finding the truth, getting it. But no media could come on my trip. The epitome of hypocrisy. Joining us on the panel is Peter Morici, economist and professor, University of Maryland, and also rejoining us for this hour's panel is our own Bill Hoffman from Newsmax. Gentlemen, so there's Michelle Obama. We just talked about this with Dylan Byers at Politico. So, you know, we're paying for her trip. She's in China, a hugely important country, obviously. And all we're left with is B-roll and whatever the Chinese government provides us, because no U.S. press was allowed on the trip. Peter?
Well, I think that CNN ought to get
Peter?
a paparazzi. Well, I think that
follow
CNN
her
ought to get a
around.
paparazzi so that they could get
And
their
follow
ratings
her
up
around.
after the, now that the plane is finally gone. I was checking their ratings, but we won't go there. No, I think this is terrible. And I've said so publicly on other shows that she's traveling on, at U.S. government expense. But more than that, at the beginning of this administration, they made a point of establishing that the position of First Lady was now a position, sort of a constitutional position. God help Bill Clinton if he's First Lady. But in any case, that it's a constitutional position and it's entitled to certain privileges because of that. Well, with that comes the press. Now, that doesn't apply to the children. The children are civilians. We've always respected those kinds of exclusions, and I'd like to keep it that way. But this woman is engaging in diplomacy, and that should be covered by the American media. This is a free society. I think that Bill Clinton learned a lot from Mr. Putin in those 4.5 hours of conversation. And one of them is, don't let the cameras get too close to your wife.
You mean, yeah, Mr. Obama learned
Or to
a lot.
him.
Yeah, or to
Mr.
him.
Obama should be on TV less, not more.
Well, he's got to make all of his picks. I want to see how his bracket did, by the way. Bill, I mean, as a member of the press, certainly this can't sit well with you either.
Well, it doesn't. I have two phases on this issue, and the first one is, as a reporter, I want access to the president and the president's wife, the first lady. I want access to anyone that's going on a trip of international diplomacy. And of course, if we were going to France, if she was going to Scandinavia, if she was going to Germany, it'd be no problem. Even if they didn't want us there, we could get there, we could freely roam around. China's a different story. China is very, very closed, and you have to have special permission to be there, et cetera, et al. On the other hand, that said, I think you sort of have to pick and choose your battles sometimes, and this is such sort of a low-level trip. It's not like it's a Mideast peace talk. It's not like it's a G8. So I would say I don't like it, but I'm not really that disturbed by this particular keeping away of the press.
But do you think it sets, Bill, a precedent? I mean, one AP photographer said that once you lose access, it's very hard to get it back.
I'm afraid of that. I do worry about that, and I think if it's done again in a short period of time, I think then we really have to worry. At this point, I'm still not worried, although I don't like it.
All right. I mean, I know that, and you mentioned Peter, CNN, and we just discussed that with Dylan Byers as well. And you said now that their coverage is ending, Dylan is of the opinion, and I said it kind of jokingly, that they're going to get at least one more solid week out of this announcement by the Malaysian Prime Minister. They're going to have every family member they could get their hands on, every family member who ever lost a family member on any kind of plane or boat or train, and what it's like, and grief counselors and closure counselors and non-closure counselors, they're going to milk this for all they can.
Yeah, they're going to bring over the team from NBC that covered the Olympics. That interviewed the third cousin of the guy who finished fourth in the slalom, about how the family has always finished fourth and never gotten a medal. They're going to have those guys in. This is going to become an industry. I was checking their ratings because I've had some issues with CNN personally. We'll just leave it at that.
Okay.
I've been checking their ratings lately, and before this all happened, they had one show in the evening that is going away. that had a rating of 33,000 people.
Oh, Pierce
Heck,
Morgan.
The third-ranked channel in San Antonio, Texas, is Evening News. Gets 33,000 people in the local market. Never mind CNN nationally.
Yeah,
I mean, their ratings are lower than a snake's belly. So what do you expect? This can only make them better.
Right. No, I agree. And I
feel sorry for Wolf. Wolf's a friend of mine, and I really wish that he was in a better ecosystem right now, because he does really good work when he's not compelled to do this kind of thing. Well, that's a show worth watching.
Peter, I saw Wolf. I told this to Dylan. I saw Wolf last week say they had breaking news that one of the pilots made a cell phone call before the plane took off, and he's sitting there on the panel with a panel of experts, and he said, is that unusual? And
right, I heard you.
And everybody said, no, and he said, I didn't think so.
I mean, when you don't even have questions to ask that will provoke an answer, you've got a lot of problems.
That's true. All right, let's go into this, and the Bill, we'll get to you in a second after I want to ask the professor and the economist. Matt Drudge tweeted out that he just paid the Obamacare penalty because he wasn't getting Obamacare. This is last week. And he incurred the wrath of the ignorant. A White House spokesman, Talking Points memo, Huffington Post, National Journal, they all responded saying that Drudge is either a liar or ignorant or both. He can't be paying this tax yet, doesn't kick in until next year, and if he's paying it, he's an idiot and he's a moron. Now, Drudge has since tweeted, and I've been in this position, I'm not now, but I have been, where you pay estimated taxes. So if he's paying estimated taxes for next year, then it would affect him this year, and that's what he's saying. So how ignorant do these people have to be to jump on Drudge and call him a liar right off the bat?
Pretty ignorant. I mean, they just reacted, and they didn't give thought to that. But, I mean, it doesn't bother me that people on the left that are outside the government are coming down on him. But the White House, I mean, what face fascism? The authoritarian personality can come from any point on the political spectrum. It basically has a view that you're not wrong, but you're sinister. And I can do whatever I need to do to discredit you. I'd like to know, maybe the IRS is now no longer targeting conservatives. It'll just target people who paid the penalty.
Yeah, Bill?
Sometimes I think when you hear the name Matt Drudge, people would just get whipped up about things, and no matter what, it could be anything. Matt Drudge and dogs, Matt Drudge and taxes, Matt Drudge anything. But I do think that there's definitely a communications problem here with just basic facts, because everyone knows about estimated taxes, and you pay them in advance, and that's what's going on with Matt Drudge apparently.
Yeah, and you would think but you would think anybody before they immediately retweet again. And here's I'm sure you'll agree, Peter. This is the problem with the White House with this president, having never run a business, having never owned a business, having never dealt in the business world. He probably has no idea about estimated taxes.
It's like taking a freshman at the University of Maryland and deciding to educate him by making him president of the university. As I've said before, it's a junior achievement project at the White House these days, and it really shows in a lot of ways. They shouldn't have done that. They should have had better self-control. They didn't. It's just very poor discipline, very pure execution. Although, the Bush administration didn't know a lot about executing either. One of America's great problems is we've had two losers in a row.
Well, you could say that if you want. I'm a George W. Bush fan.
Bill,
I understand
30 seconds.
That.
I like the man.